Welcome to the Ballet Help Desk podcast. My name is Jenny, and I'm joined by my co-founder, Brett. We are both proud ballet moms who met backstage at our children's recital. During our kids' training, we found that resources were limited. We relied on Dance Magazine and fellow parents in the lobby for information. Now that our children are embarking on their professional careers, we're excited to share our combined 20 years of experience as ballet moms with all of you. We'll be bringing in experts to help make sense of this complex world of ballet training. Hello. Before I introduce today's guest, I wanted to take a moment and address a small trend that Brett and I noticed on social media. As fellow ballet parents, we understand how proud we are of our kids and their hard work and dedication to this really incredible art form. Summer intensive audition season can be stressful, and parents can sometimes go into overdrive trying to help their kids make the best decisions possible. However, I would like to offer a gentle reminder that our posts may be received differently by parents whose kids did not get a "congratulations" email. Instead, they're said, "unfortunately, not this year." May I gently remind everyone to do some research before posting in public groups asking for information that can most likely be found by searching the history of that group. You can join the Facebook group for accepted students of a particular program where veteran parents can provide valuable insights. You can also read the reviews of summer intensive programs on ballethelpdesk.com to get a pretty comprehensive idea of what to expect, and they show some pretty consistent trends. Ask your dancer what their impression of the audition class were. They tend to have a pretty good idea if they connected with the teacher and if that is the kind of training that they want to spend their summer working on. You and your dancer may want their teacher's input, as they actually know your dancer's strengths and weaknesses, and possibly the best program to help them refine their technique. If your child was accepted, congratulations. But please be sensitive. If not, keep your head up. Bumps in the road are common on the ballet path. Now, on to the episode. Today, we are so pleased to welcome Dr. Maria Torija, Academy Director for BalletMet. She was born in Madrid, Spain, and began her ballet studies with Lola de Avila, Luis Fuentes, and Carmen Roche. At the age of 13, she was awarded a Fulbright scholarship, to study for 3 years at the School of American Ballet in New York. After a short stint with the Ballet Nacional de España Clásico, she began her 20-year career as a dancer with the Deutsche Opera Berlin Ballet Company. She holds a bachelor's degree in ballet teaching and graduated summa cum laude with a master's and PhD in performing arts. She also has an extensive teaching resume. Beginning with the opera ballet of Deutsche Opera Berlin, she served as a faculty member at the Paul Lucas School in Dresden. Maria has participated in seminars and has been invited to teach classes throughout Europe, Japan, Hong Kong, and the United States. While on faculty at Miami City Ballet and School, Maria taught dancing as well as classes on the history of ballet and other associated topics. She organized and conceived a popular program for the open bar at Miami City Ballet, inviting the public to see demonstrations of the progression of professional ballet training. She came to BalletMet as the Academy Director in 2017. From Marin Ballet, which is right here in California. So let's jump right into the episode.
Hello, and welcome back to the Ballet Help Desk. Today, we are fortunate enough to be joined by Maria Torija. She is the Academy Director of BalletMet in Columbus, Ohio. So Maria, welcome.
Hello.
So we are here today talking about what is generally known as postgraduate education. So all of those bridge levels that are between the levels of the academy, but before a dancer moves into a company, a main company, as an apprentice or even as a core member. So with that said, let's jump right in. At BalletMet, can you describe the different levels and identify what the bridge levels are before a dancer has the opportunity to get into the main company?
Okay, so we have different levels. We have, starting with 3 years old until 7, we have the children's division, which is all the creative movement and pre-ballet levels. Then with 8 is our student division. And that's where it goes all the way up to level 6 or level 7 or 8, depending on the dancer and their ability and what they want to do with their future, if they want to become professionals or not. That's when we have the change. So we have the student division when it is 8 levels. But as I said, some students are very advanced and would like to do a professional career already in level 6 or in level 7, hardly ever in level 8, because the level 8s are more the kids that would like to pursue something different with their lives, but they want to dance until they go to college. So it's level 6, level 7. That's when we move them up into our trainee program. That is the bridge level number 1. Okay. Now, the trainee program has 2 levels of women and 1 level of men. It doesn't go by ages. It goes by technical ability, knowledge, who is more advanced than the other. So we have the advanced level, though they're all advanced dancers, and then the one that is the most advanced, which is usually where there are many exceptions often, where the rehearsal directors from the company use some of those dancers and give them the opportunity to perform in company roles with a professional company. Now, but they also take from the younger level, so from the least advanced level. So it depends what they want. That's the company. And then the next bridge level is the BalletMet 2, which consists of 6 dancers, 3 women and 3 men. And their day is based on the company day. Okay. So they're always with the company day, company class, they rehearse with the company, and they help for the outreach programs.
And how many dancers are in the trainee program?
So the trainee program, as I said, has 3 levels.
Right.
So at the moment, there's 60, okay, all the 3 together. So we have around 30 men. And then from that, the 30 men, we have around 47 women divided in 2. So there are around maybe 23, 24 in each level, in each class.
Okay. And how long do dancers typically stay in each level? In the first bridge, the first level of trainee, second level of trainee, and then BalletMet 2?
It depends. It depends on the dancer. So sometimes we have dancers that are very young, that they're age 15. They join, but we have a company dancer. I'm just gonna name her case because so she joined with 15. Mm-hmm. She was 3 years in the trainee program because I think the pandemic hit, so she had to so she was 3 years in the trainee program. She was always in the highest level because she was so advanced and so talented that she was always at the highest level. The company used her from day 1. Later on, she joined BalletMet 2, and now she's a company member.
Great. Okay.
We had with another dancer. She was also 2, 3 years, I don't remember. Also BalletMet 2 later, then company.
So did she go all the way through the school, or did she come in?
And the other boy also.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So they've since babies all the way up.
if you wouldn't mind speaking a little bit to how many of your students wind up in the company that kind of go all the way through your program. Is that fairly common or is that fairly unusual?
I think it's common now. It was not. When I came to BalletMet, I changed a little bit the curriculum and I added the syllabus. So I think it did help to have some kind of structure within the school. And I give teacher training to the teachers twice a week. So then we talk, we're all on the same page and we follow that curriculum and that syllabus, because I did study that in the university when I was actually finishing my career. So I did study that in Europe. So, and then I taught in professional schools there. So then that helped me to learn how to do this. So I created one specifically for BalletMet situation with how the kids are, how the dynamics in the city are, how often parents are ready to commit to bring them to dance in young ages, how much is later, all that. I analyzed it and I did that. So because of that, did work pretty well. Then after a few years, the company started to take dancers. They did take in the past always somebody, but I think there was a huge gap at some point. I don't know, for like around 10 years or something like that. They didn't take anybody. And then they started taking again.
So the students would come all the way up through the school and then they would have to go elsewhere?
Mhm.
Okay, wow.
But that doesn't happen anymore.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, because I was like, well, no, that's not right. So we changed it. And I think actually it's great.
Yeah. And I think that's wonderful to change that, to allow the students to come all the way through the school and to enough to fit into, the company that they're affiliated with. So can you speak a little bit to the cost structure for each of your bridge level programs, so your trainee and your second company, and what that cost structure looks like?
So the cost, the trainee is like a pre-professional division. It's called trainee. That was before I came. That's the name. And that's how they're identified within the organization. So the trainee program is our trainee program is very, very intense, and we work really hard on it. The kids start at 9:15 in the morning, and they finish at 4:30 or 4 p.m. They have 45 minutes to an hour lunch break. They're dancing all the time. They have classes, regular technique, point variations almost every day. The women, they have twice pas de deux partnering. The men 4 times a week partnering. We do conditioning 3 times the week for women and men. We also have a lot of rep. We have several shows. We have a little group called Performance Ensemble that is with the student division. So the trainees are like the most advanced and do the soloists and that. And we have a black box theater. So we perform with Performance Ensemble at least 3 times a year.
And all of the trainees get to do that, are part of the
Of course, everybody's included. And then we have the trainee show, which is just their show, which they perform. And we do always a balancing ballet because it's always great to do that, and a classical and then contemporary pieces. And then on top of that, we have the 3 spring performances at the big theater. So they get to perform a lot because I think they need to have that experience and to learn how to be in the corps de ballet, to learn how to do soloists, to learn choreographers. The cost of the trainee program without scholarships, and now we give a lot of scholarships, is almost $8,000 a year. But then, of course, a lot of the students that are in that, many of them had 100% tuition scholarship, or 50%, or 75%, or 20%, 25%. So the cost gets reduced a lot because, of course, we see then the talent.
Is it fair to say that most of the trainees have some sort of scholarship?
I would say around 70%.
Okay. And what about housing? Does BalletMet provide housing for students?
No, just for the summer.
Okay. So during the school year, do most of the students find apartments or host families, or how does that work?
Right. Well, what we were talking before, this is a college city. So next to us, one block from us, is one of the colleges, or yeah, several of the colleges, the one of arts, the Columbus State Community College is all closed. So there are all these buildings that are for students
Mhm.
that are cheaper. Then they find roommates, and then they can live in actually a much more affordable way.
Got it. Okay.
Sure. So, do the trainees have access to a wellness program as well?
What do you mean?
Like PT
Oh, yes.
and
Yes, they have. And we also have, so we work together with the Ohio State University, and we give the trainee courses on nutrition. So they all get like once a week their nutrition course, their seminars on nutrition and on mental health. They get also that. And of course, they get access to the physiotherapies that we have.
and are those extra fees, or those are all included in the trainee fee?
They're extra fees, but they're not very high. That's very reduced.
So, as you're auditioning your dancers, can you maybe shed a little light on how you determine where dancers are placed when they audition, whether they get into BalletMet 2 or into the trainee program?
Into BalletMet 2, though is part of the academy, that is more the artistic director who actually chooses BalletMet 2, because they know what kind of rep is coming next season. They know what type of dancers they're gonna need for next season. So they do that more. Sometimes we can recommend somebody, but usually it's the artistic director who chooses the BalletMet 2. Then the trainees is us when we do our auditions, or we move up kids from our own students, which we do a lot of that. We move a lot of our kids up, and then we take from outside also a lot. And then sometimes we like them so much that we offer them in the audition right away. Trainee, they have the right age, they're there, their ability is there. Sometimes we need to see them more, we are not so sure, so then we invite them, we recommend them to come for summer intensive. Sometimes they ask for scholarships, and then in order to really see how much a scholarship we should give this kid, we ask them to come to summer intensive. Now, it's not a must, but of course, for the ones that we say to be determined, then we need to see how they work and to really then make the decision and see if they fit in our program. And for the ones that ask for scholarship, then we need to really see how much we need to work with them. But otherwise, the ones we take right away, they don't have to do our summer intensive.
Did I hear you correctly that you said students will ask for scholarships?
Sometimes they do.
Okay.
Okay, Brett, I was going to talk about that too. So, do you consider scholarship to also be financial aid? Is that kind of combined into the same, or do you have like a separate merit
Scholarship
and financial aid base?
We have financial aid. So we do this. Sometimes we see a kid that we think, oh my God, maybe this kid deserves a scholarship, but we are not sure. We need to see how this kid works. So then we say, come to the summer intensive, we'll decide your scholarship. There are kids that we know right away, you're coming, we're giving you this much scholarship, boom. There are kids we need to see. Then there are kids we need to see if they fit in the program. Then there are kids that ask for scholarship, that happens also. So then, of course, then we have to say if we think they should get one or not. Sometimes we say no. Sometimes, oh yeah, actually, this kid is much better now than in the audition class. So yeah, that's the right thing to do. Because of course, sometimes it's in a class and sometimes they get nervous, sometimes doesn't work. But we are very cautious when we give scholarships, but we also have financial aid. So There are kids that then when we don't give them the scholarship, then they ask for financial aid.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if we see their family situation is difficult, then we try to help.
I mean, that's nice that you have both options, because there are some families that paying for these kinds of things is quite a struggle for them. So what are some of the primary ways that BalletMet recruits for its trainee and the BalletMet 2 spots?
So mainly auditions. We also go to competitions. I judge in competitions because I'm asked, because they always ask directors to judge. So I also get students there, but mainly, of course, are from our auditions.
So just your audition tour. When you say audition tour, do you mean NSIA, or do you mean in your big summer intensive tour?
Yeah, both. NSIA, sometimes what we do, unless it's somebody that really, is on Zoom.
Right.
So somebody that really stands out on the Zoom, and we're like, whoa, we're gonna offer this. But often what we do, we offer, if we're not very sure, then we offer to be determined, come for summer intensive. And then we have had a good experience with the NSIA. We have gotten actually sometimes very good kids with it,
And for NSIA, if a dancer is really interested in BalletMet, and the reason I ask this is we've talked to some other school directors who have steered dancers in one direction or another. If they're really interested in BalletMet, what is your recommendation in terms of the best way to audition and to get seen by you and your staff?
You know what? If we are traveling to their city, they should do our audition. But if they cannot go somewhere, if it's not possible for them to go to one of the auditions that we host around the country, then they should do the NSIA or send us a video.
Okay. And in terms of video auditions, you put the same amount of weight on a video audition as an in-person audition?
Yes, but of course, in person is always better because you see more and
Sure.
you see also how the person works. The video is something that is being said. Of course, you see a lot in the video, but in the audition, you get to teach that kid.
Sure. Okay, that's actually really good advice. And for the NSIA, we were told that because it's on Zoom, a lot of the artistic directors don't actually attend. They might watch it then, or they might watch the videos later on. Is that what you guys typically do?
We watch it right away. BalletMet is always there.
Okay, so you go in person to every NSIA location?
No, we don't go in person. We watch it on Zoom.
Okay.
So we have our own NSIA that we host at BalletMet. With NSIA, the audition is being recorded. So some people watch it days later.
Okay.
The recording on Zoom is always different. So I have my staff, me and my staff, there are many simultaneous. We watch it live.
Okay.
On Zoom.
Okay.
Because on the recording, it's not the same. Because there's a rover camera, you know what I mean? So it's better to watch it live, and then you see actually more. And also you can write on the chat, okay, we don't see numbers. Could you please get closer to the kids? So like this, we have much better idea. But of course, not everybody has the capability to do that. So, but we really make sure the NSIA, we always have live somebody covering because of how difficult it can be if you watch it later.
Okay. And do you hand out from the NSIA, do you hand out trainee and second company offers, or is it more you give invitations to come for the summer to be considered as for a trainee spot or for BalletMet too?
We give some trainees when we see really extraordinary kids.
Okay.
We do, because you can see it. Sometimes due to the Zoom, it's difficult. So then we invite them. We say, to be determined trainee, it looks like pretty good, but let's make sure. Okay. To be determined trainee, come to summer intensive, and then we'll see.
And if a dancer can't come for the summer for some reason, do you ever arrange for them to come for a short stay instead of coming for the summer?
Oh yeah, always.
Okay. So if someone were to call and say, I really am interested, I can't come for the summer for whatever reason, can I come spend a week taking class?
Oh yeah, we always do that.
Okay.
Sometimes that's how life is, Why should we put barriers? There's no need. I understand that we're all trying to, in a way, make a business but it's also about the dance.
Mhm.
And it's also about helping the kids. So yeah, we let them come during the normal year before summer intensive starts, or the last week of summer intensive, or when we do company rep week, or whatever we do, we always let them come. And also it's good for them to see if they like how we work.
No, absolutely. And I like I like hearing the flexibility in there, because I feel like it's been so nice to hear some of the changing of the old guard, where there is a lot more flexibility and understanding that sometimes life gets in the way and it's tricky for people to make everything work. So can you speak a little bit? It sounds like your training program is pretty robust with boys. So what are some of the tactics you use to attract men to your bridge level?
Very difficult to get boys. Very difficult. We have boys from our own program, younger boys, that we really teach. They have their own boys classes, so we bring them up to the trainees. So we always have a certain number of boys that we bring up. We get some boys from the NSIA, from competitions, from videos. I mean, we have a boys class. When I came to BalletMet, the trainees were training together, boys and girls. And now we have our own program for the boys, which they do their own thing. We get some from the NSIA. It's always a struggle. It's hard because, of course, BalletMet doesn't belong to one of these huge companies that has a huge budget for the school that can pay for stipends for boys, which I don't even think is 100% right, because women also deserve that. But they do that for boys in order to lure boys, and they pay for their dorms and everything, and we cannot do that. So the boys we get is because they want to work with us.
So if there are people listening to this who have boys who are interested in BalletMet, what is your advice in terms of the best way to approach the school about potentially joining the trainee program or the second company?
I mean, for me, the best approach to join is present yourself. We have taken boys, sometimes we take boys very, very, very advanced in the technique. We have taken boys that they needed a lot of work. But we give everything out there that we can to help them to become better dancers. And after 2-3 years, they go auditioning and they all get jobs. I think we have a very good men program, just taught by former male dancers. As I said, they have their own class, they have their own thing independent to the girls. They join the girls at some point, but they have their special variations, jump classes, they do jumps, they do male technique, they do conditioning, and then they join the girls for rep or things like that. So we really took care to create this type of program to attract boys.
Was that one of the things you really focused on when you came in, was to try
The first thing I did was to focus on, when I came to BalletMet in the training program, there was 1.5 boy. The half was one boy that would never come to class. It would come like once a week.
Uh-huh.
I joined BalletMet, there was like 1.5 boy. I always remember. And from 1.5, we have grown to 13, 14, 12.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's because we don't have those abilities to pay for their flights and a stipend and things like that. We really try to do it with the trainee.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that all schools have to be really creative in how they continue to attract boys, because it is, an ongoing challenge. Are you guys finding that you are having less men. We've heard from a few other interviews that there are just less men coming all the way through and trying to make it as a professional dancer. Are you seeing that in your numbers as well, that there are just less men applying to your program than pre-COVID?
No, for the trainee program, but in the younger levels, yes. We lost young boys when COVID. And of course, those levels now are a bit older and they're not there. Or they're just one or two, where we used to have more. But when COVID hit, the boys immediately, boom, quit doing ballet. So yeah.
That's so interesting. So what are you guys doing as a collective to try to attract more men? Just back
Oh
to
my
the art
God.
form?
Well, we have a program that is called Discover Dance, where we audition in schools all around Columbus, and we have boys apply for it, and then we take boys. And what I do is normally is that the boys have boys classes since they're age 8, and they have their own class where they're alone with other boys. So like this, they feel like sometimes they can join the girls' classes, but mainly they have their own space where they feel, okay, doing ballet I'm not the only boy doing ballet. So with that, they continue, they make their friends and they continue doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably an ongoing struggle that you all get together when you all talk and just say, "What are you doing? What are some ideas?" I would imagine it is really difficult. If only they would treat ballet dancers like they do movie stars and allow them to go on and promote in much more public forums. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Yes.
So may I ask how many dancers come through your program and actually become trainees and into BalletMet, as opposed to how many people come in from the outside? Approximately, what are your percentages?
So in the last years, in the beginning, it was the majority were all from outside. When I came, there was like one or two. Now I would say 50-50. We had the last people that have joined the main company. They were kids from the school that they have joined the school when they were like pre-ballet 7, pre-ballet 6, when they were like 4 years old, whatever. So they went
Right.
all the way. So
And they went all the way through from the time they were in pre-ballet and now they're in the company? That's amazing.
I know. It's great. I mean, I still remember some of them. I was teaching them how to do pirouettes, and now they're like doing principal roles,
Oh my gosh, it must feel so wonderful as a teacher to feel like you've really grown this program to really be a nice feeder for the company.
Yeah, so now the last people they came from, but they have taken sometimes people that they were from the trainee into BalletMet too. The good thing we had is that our artistic director and the whole organization, the rehearsal directors, they always want to take people from the school because it's important.
Oh, absolutely. So, speaking about your school, at what point in the year are current trainees and BalletMet 2 dancers informed about their placement for the following year? And how does that typically happen?
So with the trainees, it's pretty easy. We let them know now in January. So what we do is we have evaluations and we tell them, okay, well, we think you're ready to go auditioning. If we know that the artistic director is interested in a couple of them for the second company or the company, then we let them, okay, you do your auditions, because we don't know how many contracts are going to be free in the company, because that's mainly the big problem. Do your auditions, and maybe, who knows, maybe you end up getting a job here also. Sometimes we know they're not interested in those other dances, and we say, okay, just go auditioning. Sometimes we say, when you are too young, you need to repeat one more year.
Mm-hmm.
And we would like you to repeat one more year. So that's more or less how we do it. And then with the second company, that delays a little bit. I think what happens is that they get told, okay, go auditioning, prepare your videos, everything. We will know that I think it's mid-March that all the dancers give their contracts back. So by then we know if we're going to have a spot for you or not.
So in the meantime, you tell all of the second company members, because March is pretty late. So do you tell everybody go audition because we just don't know until that far.
Exactly. Because that's at the end of the day, that's one of the big criteria to get a job or not, if there's a contract available or not.
Right. And how many typically from the second company do go into the company, just in any
The
average?
last years there's been several, at least one or two.
Okay, out of the 6.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's pretty good. I mean, that's a third.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sometimes they repeat one more year if they were too young or not ready, and then they're taken into the company. It all depends.
So
But yeah.
some second company members can stay more than 1 year. It's not like an up or out kind of thing that they can stay until you think they're ready to fly.
They can stay 2 years, yeah.
2 years. Oh, okay, that's great.
Not all of them.
Okay.
And how about your trainees? Typically, how long do your trainees stay in the program?
It depends how old they were. Sometimes we have them for a year. They join when they were 18, 19, and then they want to find a job. And what they do is they come, they're very, very advanced. They're very, very good. They get to perform with the company. They get all that training, the classes, the whole thing, and the company performances. So they built a resume like that. Many of them, they do it for 2 years. The majority are 2 years there, big majority. And the ones that they join very, very young, because we have some that they join with 15, then they are there sometimes 3 years.
Okay.
That's rare, but it happens.
So most of them, when you say 2 years, are you saying 1 year in that first level and then another year in that second level?
Yes.
Okay.
But sometimes, as I said, we have kids that are very young, that are extremely good, and they join the second level directly and they stay there. So for example, this company dancer I was telling you before, she joined with 15 the trainee program. Then the pandemic, she was there 1 year, the pandemic hit. She ended up being in the trainee program in the highest level for 3 years. Then she got an offer in the second company. And then a year later, she joined the company.
So for the trainees, I mean, there's only 6 second company spots, right? It's a small second company. For the trainees that do not ultimately make it into the second company, where do they go?
Well, as I said, it rotates because they go, they come, they join the second company. So there's a lot of movement there going on, but they audition everywhere.
Do most of them go into professional careers, or do you have a group that say, I'm just going to go to college and that's it?
Very few, very few. The majority, they all get jobs.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay. So out of the BalletMet trainee program, they go into, is it other second companies that they usually go into?
Sometimes not. Sometimes they join directly a company.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So what do you guys do as a trainee program to support the kids to help them find those jobs?
Now in November, we had a huge seminar, 2 hours or an hour and a half with the company manager and with the person that is in charge, the teacher that is in charge of the trainee program, and with me and the artistic director. And we went over how to prepare their resume. What do artistic directors want to see? Then the trainees ask all these questions to the artistic director. So we help them in that way. Then we sit with them now in January and we ask them, where do you want to audition? Sometimes we often advise them where to go. Sometimes we give them the contact. We call friends or people, other organizations. We know they're looking for dancers, so we make them send their videos and things like that.
So you pick up the phone and you call people that you're connected to in other companies?
Sometimes, yeah.
Fantastic.
Of course.
So we're hearing of students choosing college dance programs versus going into bridge programs. Yet the data is not totally supporting that college provides a path directly into company. More often than not, the dancers are coming out of college and then going into a bridge level program. What's your opinion of the college route as means to a professional career?
Unfortunately, the college programs in this country don't provide the majority. I think there are like maybe a couple that might be okay. The majority don't provide a training to become a professional. I really believe to study is very important. I finished my high school while I was already a professional dancer because I joined the company back then when I was 16. And then I didn't go to college for many, many years. And then when I was like in my early 30s, I started going to college back again. I started to go to college. So
Mhm.
it really helped me. I really think educated dancers are great. Knowledge is important. And I believe that every dancer should go to college, can go to college while they're dancing, especially now with all the online possibilities that universities offer.
Right.
The problem with these dance college programs, from what I see, is that the dancers don't come strong enough to join a company. And ballet is for young people. And ballet you can do at a certain age, and then your body starts, because time passes and we cannot ignore that time passes and we feel it in our bodies. So if you join a company when you're in your mid-20s, you have lost already the best years of your youth, where you have that energy that you don't have anymore. You have maturity later, and you have refinement and that professionalism, but that energy you have when you're so young, you just have it very few years. And it's great when you have that energy when you join a company, because that's very attractive for the directors. Of course, you're lost and you don't know and you do mistakes, but you have that amazing energy that young people have.
Mhm.
And this capability to do so many things and don't get tired. That later, 2-3 years later, you're like, oh my God, I'm starting to feel I'm getting tired of this. And I didn't feel it then. So what I see in these university programs is that they do 2-3 years, or no, 3-4 years, I think they do. So they're like 21, 22 when they're done, and then they're not ready. So we had kids from Ballet University, from other universities, join our trainee program at that age.
Right.
And then be with us 1 or 2 years. So they were mid-20. So they were like 24, 23 when they left.
So what you're seeing is the dancers that are coming from college dance programs, so from college ballet programs, are coming in at the trainee level. And so they're coming in at the same level somebody right out of high school is coming into. And so that 4 years doesn't necessarily help them bump up a level or even 2 by going that route.
No, I mean, they have a bachelor's, which is always good to have. As I said, it's very important to have a degree, because you dance for a while, but then what?
Right.
And then what happens? And life goes on. But as I said, I think maybe I'm old-fashioned, maybe I'm old school, but I believe that you dance until you study until a certain age. You join a company young. I'm not saying 16 like me. I'm not saying that, but 18, 19, 20 the latest. You join a company that age. You establish yourself in a company. Once you feel you already control yourself, your body, how the dynamics go, then you can always join a college program online and have your plan B from when this career is over.
Right. So you're saying get your job dancing as soon as you can, and then worry about the education on the backside of that. So go back
Right.
to school when you're a little older and you're more established, and you can do it in a way where you could take classes online, or 1 class a semester or something like that. Is that what you're saying?
Right. Yes. Because what I see in this, I really don't know how the structure is. I've seen some of them are good, but just like a couple, like one or two. The rest, I really haven't seen great results. So their kids come out and they're not ready to join a company, but they're already like 22.
Yeah, I mean, that does get tricky because there is something to be said for that. You're young and you're in that company environment, and it's really kind of pushing you to be ready to take that next step.
Right. And I mean, the ballet career, even if dancers dance longer now, because human body keeps evolving and we have medicine has improved, physiotherapists are more knowledgeable. What we eat helps, how we take care of our bodies is different. We have sprung floors that are very good nowadays. All these that help a dancer to dance longer if you're 60 or 50. It's very rare that a dancer goes over 40.
Yes, I mean, I can't imagine. It's I mean, my daughter's 19 and she feels it after a week long of 2 show days. It's a very taxing career for
Right?
her.
I danced until 40 and I was like, or almost 40, and I was like in so much pain. And I had a very easy body for ballet, but oh God, I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Sure. That's a
Age is a cruel mistress for sure.
So that's why I don't know. I mean, as I said, I'm for college, so I don't want you to think I'm not, because I really believe that education is very. I mean, I have a PhD myself, so I think it's very important. But ballet is physicality is so hard and the career is so short. If you postpone when you join a company too much, then you join the company when you are not anymore at that high level energy that you have when you're so young.
Sure. So can we shift gears a little bit and talk about something that we've had several parents reach out to us to speak about their concerns about their child doesn't do ballet competitions or they don't have a strong social media presence. So what impact does that have on their success in getting into a program like yours?
We don't care. It's most important how you dance.
Please say that again for the people in the back.
I don't care. I don't care. We don't care. That's not a criteria for me. I don't care if somebody has a big following in Instagram if they have no quality in their dancing. I don't care. I care how they are as dancers, how they are as performers, how clean their technique is, the quality of movement, the artistry, the musicality. If they have 1 million followers, well, whatever. It's not gonna change my mind about how they are as dancers.
Why do you think parents and dancers think this is a very common perception that if you have a really big Instagram following or if you've been really successful in ballet competitions, that is going to be your ticket into a ballet company. Why do you think that perception is so widespread?
I mean, we live in the social media world, so I guess there are different levels, right? So there's the people my generation, they're older ones. My generation, they're the younger ones, and then the younger ones, and the younger ones, and the younger ones. My generation, for us and the people older than me, we don't care about if they have a huge following in social. No. A bit younger than us, neither. But I think the very young dancers and the students, they think their success is part of having a big following. When you look at their chats, what they say to each other, and you're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
So they feed into that to themselves. They talk about it to themselves. Of course, there are superstars that they have huge followings, but they're superstars.
Right.
And they're big names in the ballet world, and they're amazing dancers. They're amazing dancers. But the number one thing is that they're amazing dancers. And then, of course, they might have a big following on social media. That's secondary.
Sure.
So they're thinking there's a mix there, that they talk to each other, that they think, oh, this name has this number of followers. So if I have that number of followers, then I'm going to follow their path. Well, no, actually, it doesn't work that way. I think within the kids, sometimes it's that confusion. And of course, the parents don't know. So the parents know even less than the kids about ballet. So parents think, oh, my kid has all these followers. Well, he or she will be taken into a company for it. Of course not. They're not going to take you because you have 1 million followers in Instagram or whatever. They're going to take you if you're a good dancer or not, whoever the director is.
Do you think that a lot of these superstars that you were talking about who have big social media followings, I had always assumed that they had the big social media followings because they were good dancers, and it wasn't the other way around. And I think that there's a lot of people out there that feel like you have to have, even if your dancer is good and talented and has what it takes to have a professional career, that missing link is the social media presence. And what you're saying is it doesn't really matter one way or the other as long as your dancer's strong.
It depends what kind of visibility you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you have to have a following because the organization, the marketing department of your organization uses that following. So they ask you, okay, well, how many followers you have in Instagram? Can you do like whatever they do, these reels or stories in Instagram?
Mm-hmm.
And like this, we market the organization, the performances.
Sure.
So that's one layer of what happens. It depends if you wanna sell yourself so much to the outside that then you're gonna get guestings.
Mm-hmm.
That way, which has often come to the result that some people have taken dancers by seeing them on social media, and then it didn't work out.
Oh,
Not really seen them live, just by social media.
I
So
see.
keep following all the videos they were putting on, because you're putting just an excerpt of something that you did very well, but it doesn't show the whole thing. So the reality is another reality.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you say that. But it sounds like everything that you're saying is once the dancer is already established, then the marketing department will say, oh, you have a great social media following. We want to take advantage of that. But it's not necessarily a path into a company.
Oh, no, and for sometimes, because I have heard of this, sometimes a director thinking, oh my God, I've seen this dancer on Instagram or on Facebook or whatever, and that clip of the video was great, and they wanted to give that dancer the opportunity to join their company, and then it ended up being not a great thing because they didn't see that person in a real life performance working out, and it didn't work out.
So do you think that was happening a little bit more in the beginning of social media? Do you think that directors are a little bit more hip to that? And
yeah, they're more cautious now.
So they do an invite. I heard about that too, that like people were being invited a little bit more off of social media, and then it was, it got them in the door, but it didn't get them the job, or it only lasted a year and then they had to move on because they weren't the dancer they thought they were getting.
Yeah, the whole social is really confusing because the people at the top don't see it that way. Directors see the importance of social media to sell their tickets,
right,
and to sell their productions, to give more visibility for their whole organization. But for an individual dancer trying to get a job or more opportunities that way with a big following, I don't think that helps.
That's really good to know, because I think there are a lot of dancers and a lot of parents out there that think it's critical that they have a strong Instagram and TikTok presence. And it sounds like from talking to you, and we've heard this from others as well, who are all saying, focus on your dancing, focus on your technique, make sure that rock solid, and then you can worry about your social media once you have a job.
And the same thing with competitions. I mean, I judge. I'm very cautious. And I had some of our students just for the fact to have the experience to go out there in a setting like that and to work for a while on a solo that they would benefit from, get the coaching, and boom, be thrown out there like they do in a competition. Like, whoa, number tralala, then you go.
Right.
But unfortunately, many schools, or the majority of schools that prepare for competitions, from what I see when I judge, is that I see kids that are pretty good at their solos sometimes, but then I see them in class and they cannot do half the steps properly. So there are kids that have been doing those variations over and over and over again for years. And they're talented, but they're so limited. So then what can you do with some of them? Sometimes we get them in our trainee program and we have to fix them because their techniques are just have so many bad habits and many things that have not been taught properly, because they would just take like a short class or whatever, short warm up, and then work on solos, which of course, that's not how you learn ballet. We say, okay, well, let's fix them. But of course, you're not going to get a job in a company because you did competitions.
Right.
You're going to get a job in a company because you're good. And because sometimes it's not even because you're good, because you're in the right place at the right moment. And that's how you get the job. At the end of the day is that, and you get the job because they like you, because they like how you dance, because they like how you move, because you fit to the place you're going. And they need at that moment somebody like you. That's how you get the job. That to go through a setting, when you're being trained properly, like how it's meant to be, and then you go to a competition just for the extra coaching and just for getting the nerves to go on stage that way, why not? But if you have won gold, silver on all these competitions, it doesn't mean a director is going to take you or not.
Right. And also, one of the things we've heard, and our kids did competitions briefly. Both of our kids did YAGP 1 year, and then they moved into company affiliated schools that didn't do competitions. But we've heard over and over again from professional dancers, they'll all say, I never won a competition, but I'm now dancing in a major company. I never even finished in the top 10 or 12 or whatever it is, but I have a great career.
No, and usually often the ones that took them longer or never won anything are actually the ones that end up having careers. I mean, I never went to a competition. Well,
Right.
I mean, my generation, we hardly had competitions. At the end of the day, everything is a business.
Sure.
Though there's a lot of good things for certain group of kids that they really need those scholarships that competitions offer. That's the great thing they have, the competitions, is that they offer. So if you go to the competition with the approach not to win, but to get a scholarship, then it's a great tool to get a scholarship. Because, okay, the person that is going to give you the scholarship might see that you need work, but they see your talent. So they're ready to invest on you. And that's the good things about competitions. But just to go to competition to win gold or silver, you're not going to get a job that way. The scholarship, it is the important thing.
Sure. And that's what you're saying is exactly what everybody we've spoken with about ballet competitions has said. Almost 100% have said, if you're going to try to win, you're going for the wrong reasons. You should be going to get exposure and to get connected with all of these company affiliated programs and conservatories that are out there that can help you take your dancing to that next level.
Unfortunately, when you go to competitions, then you have many of the directors and teachers from those schools that those kids get offers from very good academies in the country, but they don't let them go
So you're saying that they just hold on to their students for too long and don't allow them to take that next step.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So what ends up happening to those kids? Do they?
I don't know. I guess some of them, they end up making it and some not. I don't know. But I've seen that a lot, to the point that sometimes I talk with other directors and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not giving scholarship anymore to that school because we never see anybody of them coming to any of our programs. But not, I mean, several directors saying that, you know.
Really? So you've just said for certain schools, we're not even going to look at those kids because we know it's not worth it. We won't get them anyway.
We look at them, but we don't offer. We'll rather offer to somebody else because we know there's a pattern of that they just don't let them come to many of the schools. So not just to me. I mean, we talk and it's like, oh yeah, I offered them last year, they didn't come, and the year prior, then we're like, yeah, me too. And then the other director, yeah, me too. And then we're like 3-4 directors there, and we're like, okay, well, is it worth it or not?
Well, it's interesting that you say that because one of the things that Jenny and I have both learned watching our kids come up through the ballet world is that it's really small and everybody knows each other and everybody talks. And you're never going to be able to put something over on someone because everyone already knows each other and you're not fooling anybody when you do things like that.
Right. I mean, I guess those schools, they want to win and they want to say, oh, we were offered this number of scholarships. Look how great we are, but you're not ready. Or, stay with us. You're going to get a better training or whatever, which is right. I mean, they're looking out for themselves,
Sure.
Sure. I think it all goes back to that statement that everything's a business, right? I mean, of course they want what's best for their students, but it's hard when you lose your top students all the time because you don't have a company affiliation, so you don't have a pipeline for them to feed into.
But that's the best way to join a company often is to join sometimes. If you didn't start in a school that is affiliated to a company, then sometimes it's good to give up your student for the student's future when they're like 2 years from getting a job and let them join whatever school it is that is affiliated, that they have the opportunity to join that company. And if they don't, then they have the name of that place in the resume. And directors are always going to look at that.
Sure. I mean, that is absolutely true. So can we make a little bit of a switch and talk a little bit about offers? So we have verbal versus written offers. So we've heard of dancers getting verbal offers, yet the paperwork never materializes. Have you heard of this happening? And what is some advice that you have for dancers when this does happen?
I've never heard of that. I don't even think that's right. I know that we do, we write it. BalletMet has
You just do a straight written offer. You guys don't do verbal offers where you say, oh, we really want to have you. You just, here's the paperwork.
We say we're really going to have you. And then the day after, they get an email with their offer written. And otherwise, you don't say we don't want to have you.
Right. That's great.
Yes, it's always in paper. We always write it.
That's excellent.
There's a liability behind that. You cannot do that.
Yeah, we've actually heard of this happening. We've had several parents approach us and say, my dancer got a verbal offer, but the paperwork never showed up. What should we do?
God, really?
Yeah.
Heard of that? Oh my God, that's terrible. Oh, no, we don't do that. I don't think it's right.
Well, that's excellent to know. So we really appreciate all the time that you've given us today. Is there anything that you would like to add to our conversation that we haven't touched on?
No, I think, it was really interesting. It was very refreshing to be actually interviewed by you guys because I can see you're very active in this now. Your kids are just started as professionals or getting there, which I can hear that you are really into this, but that you have like a deeper understanding that many parents don't have. And I'm thankful for what you're doing, because I think sometimes parents are very confused and they misunderstand a lot, and parents don't get informed. So hopefully what you guys are doing is going to help all these families and all these kids to understand how this art form functions and works, and how to make it happen, and how to get there, and how to understand it, because it's very different to other things.
It is. And thank you for that. That was one of the reasons we decided to start Ballet Help Desk, is because when our kids were younger, when they told us they wanted to dance professionally, we sort of went, oh my God, like we don't know anything. And there's no roadmap, right? Like there's nothing out there that gives you a manual for how to raise a ballet dancer. And so that's,
it's an art form that is passed from human to human.
Yes, but it does feel like a very secret society cloaked in a lot of mystery. So we're just hoping to demystify enough
Too
of it.
mysterious, I agree. Too mysterious. Sometimes I regret that teachers, organizations, director, they make too much of a mystery of very normal things.
Mhm.
I don't know why, because there are worse things in life, you know. Dancers, we are dramatic and we create drama. I think artists are that way, but it's not the end of the world, the dancer's drama.
Mhm.
There's a moment of a drama and then it's over.
Sure. I think a lot of it too is just how it's always been done, right? So I think it just takes, well, hopefully podcasts like ours and the next generation of directors to realize that we can open the door a little bit and allow people to understand how this all functions and what this looks like. I think that overall the ballet world will be better for it because people will know what they're getting into. Kids will know what they're getting into. You know, demystifying what trainee means as opposed to a second company, as opposed to a studio company, as opposed to a post grad. People don't actually know what the difference is. And so conversations like these, I think, will really be illuminating for parents to understand what those differences are and how to help their kids make good choices about what their next step should be.
Exactly. No, and be open to support their kids, you know.
Oh, absolutely. I think people want to support their kids. I just don't think they know what it means. And they don't realize, oh, the only thing I didn't ask you is the second company, does BalletMet to, do they earn a salary? Is there a tuition for it? Is there a
No,
stipend?
they get a stipend.
They get a stipend. Okay.
They get a
Yes, all right.
stipend, and it's pretty good. It's really good. Their stipend of BalletMet too is very, very good. So
That's
get
excellent.
a stipend, yeah.
And do they get paid
So,
performances that they do on top of the stipend, or does the stipend cover all of the performances that they do with the company?
The stipend covers, but the stipend is very good.
Okay.
It's pretty high.
That's great.
And I mean, I know that is some companies, smaller companies, pay their dancers what BalletMet 2 dancers get.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So no, BalletMet has a very good stipend, and of course they get all their shoes and all that for free.
yeah, I mean, see, that's wonderful. A lot of parents don't understand that. Like, I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and they said, "Sure, your kid's a dancer, but does dance come with dental?" And I was like, "Actually, my kid does get dental with hers." But you know, I think I think there's a lot of mystery in there that people don't realize that it could be a real career, but two, that there are big variations in terms of what all of these post grad training looks like, and how to decipher which next steps to help your kids take.
Exactly, and that's what the kid wants to do, where they want to go.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for all of your time. We really appreciate you joining us, and have a wonderful holiday.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to Dr. Torija for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed making it. Dr. Torija was a delight to interview, and we really learned a lot about BalletMet and their bridge program. Please visit our show notes if you would like to learn more about BalletMet and their school. Until next time, be well. If you liked what you heard on this episode, please take a moment and help us spread the word. Follow us and leave us a review on your preferred podcast platform. Tell a friend and share on your social media. Also, please take a moment and head over to ballethelpdesk.com and leave an anonymous review of your dancers' previous summer intensive programs. We're excited to announce that we are now collecting anonymous reviews of year-round programs as well. Please help your fellow dance parents by letting them learn all about the good, the bad, and everything in between. To stay in the loop on all of our latest content, subscribe to our newsletter at ballethelpdesk.com and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Until next time, have a great day.